What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I'm here to talk to you guys about the Tekken 8 emergency patch because it has officially gone live, and I'm sure you guys have all seen what it entails so far, but I know a lot of you guys are still wondering what my thoughts and my opinions and my reaction to it are, so I'm bringing that here to you today. Normally when we get these types of updates and everything like that, I try to be very prompt with my delivery of these videos, but I ain't really got an excuse. I just really ain't been on my game lately with the content thing. I'm trying to get back in my groove, but your boy just kind of going through it lately, so it just is what it is. I'm cool though. We're not gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the tech and stuff, but I do think that in this video I'm not gonna go as detailed, especially when it comes to individual characters, like I normally would. I'm gonna be honest, if you really want that, where we're going in depth talking about all the specific changes to characters, just go watch FeedyX's video. He does a significantly better job than I can anyway. You know what I'm saying? He's more knowledgeable on the cast as a whole and can probably better articulate how some of those changes impact those characters. I am still going to read through them for myself, and you'll still get a reaction out of me if there's something that pops up in these notes, because I haven't gone through it yet, that gets a reaction out of me, so like I'll still leave that. But as far as like breaking it down like character by character, then having chapters, I'm probably not going to do that in this video. So if you're looking forward to that, I'm sorry to disappoint you. But something I haven't mentioned, by the way, in these videos or on Twitter, is that I haven't been playing the game since the season 2 update. It's been about 2 weeks for me. I've been taking a hiatus from the game, just quietly just decided on my own to just not play it. I didn't like the update. I didn't think it was fun, so I wasn't playing. Let's see if this gets me to want to play the game some more. So all that yapping out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into things. So you don't have to worry about any of this stuff up here. If you want the link to the notes, it will be in the description down below. So regarding the balance adjustment policy and version, the development team acknowledges the following: that season 2 update overall game balance has shifted too heavily toward offense. Yeah, you don't say. We sincerely apologize if the actual balance changes did not align with the development. Is this the same thing that they said before? We're not gonna, this seems like we're just going through the stuff that we kind of already know, so I'm just gonna skim through this and see if there's anything popping out to me, because this is just their policy, which we already know their policy because that's what we got in that previous patch note thing in the tweet that they put out. Okay, so here we're getting actual details. So maximum health value has been increased from 180 to 200, which is a sizable increase. Back in Tekken 7, they actually increased the maximum health in that game, and it made a substantial difference. There were many players who said that they could feel the difference, and that rounds felt like they took a little bit longer, and there were certain like sequences that would normally lead to a kill that no longer did, and so on and so forth. The health increase in that game was 5 points. So going from 180 to 200 and increasing by 20 points, to me sounds like a massive change, like a huge deal that I'm sure a lot of players will be feeling and experiencing in this game. Accordingly, the threshold for activating rage has also been raised. Since the rage activation threshold is based on 23.5% of a character's total health, the increase in maximum health will change the rage trigger point from 43 to 47 HP. That makes sense. As a result of this change, rage may now last slightly longer than before, and there may be more situations where it's harder to KO an opponent in rage. I didn't even consider that before, but it being an indirect buff to rage just because you have it for longer is a strengthening comeback mechanic, which is funny because it's like a buff for casuals, and not even just casuals, but for everybody. But obviously comeback mechanics are, whatever. Since this could lead to more frequent comeback scenarios, the baseline activation threshold of 23.5% is under review and may be adjusted in a future update. Okay, that's interesting. This does not apply to the following modes. Okay, so like I said before, on paper, I don't like the idea of them increasing the maximum health value in the game. I think there are several issues that this doesn't really address properly, and I feel like this is just another one of those cases where they're making a sweeping change in order to like fix everything, as opposed to just getting into the weeds and like really doing some dirty work. I was of the initial impression that like, oh, this is going to be like a nerf to poking, because now your pokes are going to do even less damage, which means you're incentivized even less to do them, and people are just going to continue to fish for those big launchers and counter hits and mix-ups that lead to big reward and everything like that. And then when it comes to reward, we have this really skewed balance right now between risk and reward, where things are giving you really high reward and low risk, and they said that they're going to address that, but we haven't really seen that yet. And yeah, I will say though, I did get an interesting YouTube comment from somebody that I actually will go pull up and read to you guys, because it introduced a perspective that I hadn't previously considered or thought about, and I really liked how they framed things and their thought process behind it, where they basically were saying, no, this isn't a nerf to poking, and here's why. So give me a second while I pull that up. Their comment reads, I don't think the poking to HP value dynamic is as simple as people think. More HP might mean you have to land more pokes to kill, but remember that combos don't deal recoverable health and poking doesn't. I'm sorry, combos deal recoverable health and poking doesn't. So like when you get launched and you're being hit with a combo, you get gray life, but pokes don't do gray life. It's all true damage. With more HP and longer rounds, that means more opportunities to recover health, and that part is an indirect nerf to combos, not poking. So in all, it's a nerf and a buff to both poking and combos. I don't think the increased HP will make much of a difference besides making the rounds longer. What really impacts the pokes to combo dynamic is combo damage being too high, and they're saying that's going down too, so it's all good. And yeah, I didn't really think about it that way. But what I will say is that they made a good point with saying it's going to make rounds longer, right? But also, with making rounds longer, I've already seen, and this is one of the luxuries I have of being late to get this video up, is that I've seen some people's opinions and their takes and their thoughts and feelings on the patch, because it's been, the patch came out on Wednesday night. I'm recording this on Thursday night now. It's past midnight as I'm recording this, so it's really Friday. Again, I'm really sorry for not being more prompt with this. I'm gonna be better in the future. But I've been seeing people already say like they feel it, like they feel that like rounds are longer, you know what I'm saying? Like they feel the difference in that 20 HP, which is maybe a good thing. But something I can't help but consider or think about is if rounds are already feeling a decent bit longer, first of all, you can debate about whether or not that's necessarily a good thing or if that's making a positive impact on the game. But also, they are introducing more scaling to the game because people are saying combo damage is too high and everything like that. But a lot of people are also arguing that combos are too long. And you can spend the majority of your time in a singular round being comboed or doing a combo, right? Like the average Tekken round is 60 seconds, right? Well, they're all 60 seconds, like by default, right? But let's say if a round is 30 seconds, you might have spent 15 of those seconds, like half the round or more, in a combo. You know what I'm saying? I think that's only going to get worse because if you're living for longer and pokes are doing less damage and combos are getting killed harder, like before we get to the combos, you're already living longer. There's more time being added to these rounds, or like rounds are lasting longer, right? Because of the extra health. That's going to increase when they scale combos even more. Now, obviously, we don't know how much scaling is being added in the Grey Life situation and everything like that, right? But I'm just worried, and I wonder, again, just cautious, just thinking, are we going to get to a point where we see a lot more like timeouts in rounds, or where rounds feel almost too long and matches are taking too much time because of the increased health in combination with more scaling on all the combos and everything like that? I'm just wondering, like, I'm just thinking out loud, and because I think that would be really lame and really boring. I don't think anybody wants to get to a point where most, or even half, or even like a big chunk of our rounds end in timeout. Timeouts should be pretty rare, you know what I'm saying? I personally am a fan of the fast-paced nature of Tekken and how quickly rounds are over. Also, Tekken, as a standard rule, you know, it's first to 3 rounds, you know what I'm saying? But beyond there being, you have to win 3 rounds per match, matches in tournament and in rank are first to 2. But as part of the TWT, in top 8, everything I believe from loser semifinals onward is first to 3. And that's going to increase the length of these matches and of these tournaments by a decent margin, in my opinion. And increased runtime is just bad for the TOs and the event and for the stream and everything like that. And in my opinion, as a spectator, I don't think that's going to bode well. I just hope that it's not really that big of a deal. I just can't help but consider that or think about that when I think of like increased HP plus more scaling, plus, you know what I'm saying? It just feels like they're doing a lot. And I'm glad that they're trying to address the issue. But I think I said it already, if you're not addressing combo length, then you're just having people still do really long combos where they're not allowed to interact or play the game while they're being comboed, and now they're taking even less damage and it's doing less to the health bar. So now you're in a 15-second combo and you've lost this much HP, and it's just like, to me, that's even more annoying. Like, if I'm gonna get hit by a long combo, it better do a lot of damage. But unless they're doing something to address like the multiple aerial tail spins and like how heat burst interacts with combos and everything like that, this could potentially do more harm than good. So maybe I'm being really pessimistic about that. I know I spent a lot of time rambling about that I probably should have. Maybe you guys don't care about it as much, but yeah. Next, throws. In the previous update, adjustments were made to ensure that throws still offer some advantage to the attacker, even if the throw was broken. I don't see why. Based on the idea that throws are less effective against opponents who can react and tech after seeing the throw animation. Yeah, so this is just the chip damage thing being removed. Heat engagers. This is a big one. After a hit, when transitioning into a running motion, the opponent's recovery time has been reduced by 8 frames, changing the frame advantage from plus 17 to plus 9 frames. This is massive. This is something that we have been asking for, a lot of us, especially the high level players. Plus 17 was just insane, right? You if you manage to land a heat engager, you basically get a free mix-up that there's no counterplay to. You know what I'm saying? It's basically just a guessing game. And what is the reoccurring issue and problem that Tekken players have is that there's just too many guessing games, too many forced 50-50s, too many situations where there is no counterplay. It's just literally guess or die. And by changing this from +17 to +9, you now allow situations where counterplay is active. You can power crush, you can sidestep, you can also guess between, you know, low or mid or high, you know what I'm saying? So this is a great change in my opinion. I've already seen clips of people like being able to sidestep situations after a heat engager where they previously couldn't, like whether that's like a running move or like a Reina like forward 4, for example, or something like that, which I think is great because at +9 you're still very advantageous as the attacker. You still can do a mix-up, but now you have to think a little bit more. Before it was a complete autopilot offensive reward where you're just like, all right, I just get to do a running move into stance into 50-50 and you just have to hold that, right? No longer the case. You still have that option, but now you have to think a little bit more about your options and weigh them carefully in consideration with your opponent's options as well, because they actually have some now. Just the ability to sidestep in general just completely changes that whole dynamic. I did see a tweet from Shadow. He replied to somebody and said, you know, this change sucks. +17 was fine, whatever. And at first I kind of thought he was trolling, but then I looked and he was like pretty serious about it. He's like, I'm just giving my opinion, whatever. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Shadow is a phenomenal player who I have the utmost respect for, and I think he's one of the absolute best players in the world and probably the best player currently in the country, right? But I disagree with his sentiment on that, which I'm entitled to as somebody with free will and a mind of my own. Because I think you are still getting a massive reward for landing a heat engager, and that was kind of his argument, is that, like, you know, you should be rewarded for landing a heat engager. And I'm like, dog, you're still recovering a big chunk of gray life, which is a big reward. You're at +9, which is still very advantageous and a big reward. And also you activate heat, which is like turning your character into a super turbocharged version of themselves where you're powered up and you have like access to new moves, like very powered up versions of pre-existing moves, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I think by landing a heat engager, you are still getting a very hefty reward. So I don't think this nerf is like a big deal in terms of like, oh, it's not worth it anymore or anything like that. But yeah, just my 2 cents on that. And I think anybody who is complaining about this is kind of like underrating the reward you still get from landing a heat engager. Next, heat dash. Change post-hit aerial combo damage scaling from 70% to 60%. And also change the recoverable damage inflicted when performing a heat dash after forcing the opponent to block a move from 7 to 2. So reduce the chip damage from 7 to 2 and also added more scaling. The scaling is a welcome change, like I said, 10%, or rather from 70% to 60%. It is a change that will be felt, but it's not like massive in my opinion. So I wonder just how much more scaling will be introduced to combos in the future in the forthcoming patch in May. That, you know, like I said, it's going to increase like the length of rounds and matches and everything like that. A note, due to this change in aerial combo scaling, a discrepancy has been identified between some sample combos and actual combo damage. This will be addressed in a future update. Okay, I don't know why you could just do that off rip, but whatever. Some chip damage changes. To reduce chip damage on block, the following adjustments have been made. Moves that do not normally deal chip damage to lessen additional chip damage applied during heat. The chip damage scaling has been changed from 25% to 20%. Okay, so moves that don't normally do any chip damage at all outside of heat, they now do 20% instead of 25% once you are in heat. Then when it comes to moves that already do chip damage, they don't get any additional chip damage when heat is active. And then moves whose properties change in heat, or moves that deal increased chip damage due to a character-specific heat system due to the revised chip damage calculation. Some moves were exhibiting excessive variance in chip damage. Bounce adjustments have been made accordingly. I assume these are character-specific based on the design of the character that I'll probably mention later in the notes. And then key charge. In the previous update, adjustments were made to reduce the overwhelming impact of counter hit-based offense. However, it has since been determined that combining charge attacks with elements like rage or stage gimmicks can lead to excessive, potentially match-ending damage in a single hit. As such, further rebalancing has been implemented. When a charge attack hits the opponent, the damage scaling on the first hit has been changed from 150% to 110%. I'm not gonna lie, that's really lame. That's really whack in my opinion. This is one of those things where I honestly just think that they should change it back. The 150% scaling thing, I think was a downgrade from the counter hit, and I think this is this is just dumb in my opinion. Like they really just made key charge just like completely useless now. Like at least before, like we don't have to get in. We've already talked about the whole key charge thing and counter hit properties. Change it back. Just change it back. This change sucks. This is the worst thing I've read so far. in these notes. This is just really lame. Moves that induce wall stagger. In future Tekken 8 updates, the development team is committed to minimizing situations that lead to one-sided exchanges. Among these, moves that trigger a wall stagger on block were a particular concern. Such moves could easily create extreme advantage, like plus 10 frames or more, when used near the wall, forcing the defending player into powerful mix-up situations without any opportunity to respond. To reduce these kinds of one-sided scenarios, the team has reviewed all wall stagger on block moves across all characters. Any move that previously created an advantage of plus 10 frames or more on block will no longer trigger a wall stagger when blocked. Oh, okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. And then fixing issue where certain input combinations allow players to break those generally break. So it looked like there was a throw break bug, which I was not even aware of. But yeah, so those are all the system changes. And I think I'm gonna keep it a stack, man. And y'all let me know how you feel about this. Just off these system changes alone, without looking into any character specific things, without looking any further in these notes. If we would have gotten this update as the season 2 update without all the new moves and stances and 50/50s, or if we would have gotten this update in season 1, it would be a much better game right now. Like, this would have been a fire update. Like, just these changes, this would have been still, obviously I'm still skeptical about the HP change, but overall, like when it comes to the heat stuff and the chip damage and everything like that, and like the wall stagger, and like, yo, this would have been a fire update in my opinion for season 1, and this would have been significantly more in line with what we were hoping and expecting to get. And oh man, see, now I'm kind of upset. Yo, high key, can we just like erase that season 2 update and just go from season 1 and just add only this stuff? Because I feel like if we could do that, am I tripping? How do y'all, like, I feel like if we would have gotten this, like, we'd be like, oh my god, this is the greatest Tekken game ever. Like, it's perfect now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, it still wouldn't be actually perfect, but like, this would have been the one, man. All right, let's move on. We still got some more changes to check out. All right, so now we get into the character specific changes. So like I said, I'm not going to do a detailed breakdown for every single character, but I'm going to go through this on my own. And if there's anything that stands out crazy to me, then I'll leave it in the video. So Anna changes. So basically she got a bunch of bug fixes, nerf to chip damage, and some needed changes. It looks like, based on what I read here, that they didn't change like the little Easter egg thing with the animations. They did fix the bugs or whatever. But yeah, she got toned down a little bit. This character's kind of nuts, but who isn't in season 2? And yeah, nothing too crazy there in my opinion. Then you have some Asuka stuff. Oh, it's just this. In accordance to the overall balance change, the move no longer induces wall stagger. Okay, so the wall stagger change. They're probably just gonna have a wall stagger change for like everybody who had that. Yeah, so here's like Brian and everything. His new full crouch low is now -13 instead of -12. Clive got some nerfs. Change the frame advantage on block from +4 to +3. Change the chip damage from 6 to 2. Reduce the damage by 10. Wall stagger change, bug fix basically. Wall stagger change for Devil Jin. Eddie gets a nerf here. Bug fixes for Eddie. Unintended behavior could occur. I think this is about, so Eddie currently has had a glitch where he could like teleport at the start of a round and like advance forward. I think this is addressing that. Wall stagger change, it looks like. Some bug fixes here. Fang gets some nerfs. Wall stagger, okay. Oh, that's just it. The wall stagger change for Fang. For Heihachi. Huadong, so here's the new move that he got, the down 3+4. Change the opponent's behavior on hit to make them stand up facing forward. This change was made because the long period of uncoverable time allowed for unblockable situations with sidesteps and axis shifting attacks, adjusted the collision on hit to reduce instances of characters swapping positions near walls. So yes, behavioral changes. This move is nuts. Probably not a move that he should have. It's one of those changes that they made to the game where they added a move that covers up a previously existing weakness for a character, and now, you know, trying to make him a more well-rounded character with no flaws. And that's just something they did with multiple characters, and it's a really good move for him. You probably shouldn't have it, but I don't think they're going to take it away. And likewise for other characters that they gave new moves that cover up their weaknesses, I don't think they're taking those away. I don't think they're going to remove any moves. So, yeah. Jack 8, we already know a little bit about Jack 8. They nerfed Make Some Noise and everything like that, and fixed the bugs that he had, the issues, whatever. Changed the damage from 30 to 20. Chip damage has been from 12 to 4, from +8 to +5, so they reduced by 3 frames. Corrected an issue with the third input in the sequence if you executed 5 frames earlier than intended. So this was the 2-1 up forward 1+2. That's the bug change. and fixed issue in practice where the CPU would not perform a certain ukemi. This was like the infinite that he had that was actually only practice mode. So yeah, okay, so there's honestly not a whole lot to go in super detail in here with anyway. Let's go. There should be one more page. It's probably gonna be a lot. Oh wait, no, this one's way longer. Okay, probably just because there's just more characters. But yeah, so then you have Jin. Okay, they reduced his frame advantage from his running move into Zen stance from 12 to 6. 12 was insane. Like 6 makes significantly more sense. It seems something that they're not going to walk back, or something that they're kind of standing on though, based on what I'm reading and seeing so far, is that they want running moves into stance into 50-50 to be a thing. Now, granted, with +6 compared to +12, again, you're still allowing for counterplay and everything like that, and it's not as egregious. But that is the direction they want the game to go. I still feel like that's an over-homogenization of the game, and like you're turning characters into all being the same thing and having the same identity, or having no identity because everyone is the same. You're just, you know, taking a lot of uniqueness and everything like that out. But this is better, I guess, step in the right direction. And yeah, Jin gets some more nerfs. It probably needed it. He gets toned down a little bit because that character was still absolutely insane. Was a top 5 character last patch, is a top 5 character this patch probably still. June, it looks like June got a decent amount of changes. Hold on, she's got a big thing here for her bounce direction. So let me actually read this. Yeah, I love this one right here. The mid attack during Izumo 3, so her Izumo 3 already had moderate tracking against sidesteps, and with only a few options, June could consistently beat defensive choices with minimal risk. Yeah, very high reward, low risk options in this game. That's a recurring trend. New season 2 move, her Miare 1+2 was highly powerful, enabling June to force her Izumo offense onto opponents with little counterplay. Yeah. Okay, so again, I mentioned this in the last video. It's really starting to feel like they already had an idea. They are, when it comes to season 2, they already knew what they wanted to do. They already had their direction, their idea in mind, their philosophy. They intended from the jump to double down on everything in season 1, or from season 1. However, they sprinkled in some player feedback to let it be known, like, hey, like we hear you guys, we're listening, and like we knew the philosophy of this game going in. We knew it was going to be aggressive, we knew it was going to be offensive. They even reiterated that again about their philosophy in the video, where we were misled into thinking that there were going to be some defensive changes, and they really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, they, you know, buffed sidestepping and everything, but countered that with the addition of all these like really powerful homing moves and whatever. This update actually genuinely feels like, hey, okay, we really did screw up. You were hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray. You know what I mean? And this actually feels like, okay, here are changes based on actual player feedback. We heard you guys. Now, it's not perfect. Still a long way to go, but there's some good stuff in here that I'm a fan of. I still don't know if it's enough to like really like fix the game. The thing is too, though, what this is gonna do, excuse me while I take a drink of some raspberry tea. What this is going to do is this is going to trick a lot of people, because that initial season 2 update was so bad, and there was such a like what's the word I'm looking for, like knee-jerk reaction to it. Starts with a V. What's the word I'm thinking of? Help me out, chat. I'm not live, but I can't think of the word. But it was such a bad reaction, right? It was such a bad update, in my opinion, that this fixing a lot of things and like actually going in the right direction is gonna go, oh my god, the game is saved. Oh my god, it's so much better. Now, I also know that with me saying that, there's gonna be some people, because I've seen a few comments like this on every video. Oh my god, all y'all do is whine and complain. All you do is whine and complain. Y'all bitch and moan. You'll never be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied. You'll never be satisfied. If you feel that way, I don't give a fuck, honestly. My standards is different than yours. Clearly, I'm not settling for less. And I've been going through this recently, like, because I was talking about Jump Force on Twitter, right? Like, I made a quote tweet. I'm sick and tired of people having the bar in hell, settling for the absolute bare minimum. We deserve more than the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about like, I'll never be satisfied. I don't consider myself somebody with particularly high standards. I think I'm easily entertained and amused and satisfied. So that's why I feel so passionately and so strongly about something when something doesn't meet my standard, because I personally don't believe my standards are high. I guess a lot of people with high standards probably don't think their standards are high. So maybe that's not doing a whole lot for my argument. But regardless, I'm not asking for the sun, moon, and the stars. You know what I mean? At least I don't think I am. I think that the people who say things like that are the vocal minority who, you know, I probably should just be ignoring. But I think that this update is a step in the right direction, but it's going to fool a lot of people into thinking, oh my god, Tekken is saved, we're so back, the game is perfect now. And it's not. I think there's going to be a little bit of a honeymoon phase based on some of these changes, because it's going to feel significantly better. than season 2 initially did. I think it would feel even better if we would have got this before the season 2 update, like these changes before the season 2 update, but it is what it is. As long as they continue to trend in this direction and follow up with this with a really good patch next month in May, I think we'll be in a good spot. Right now, it's good. It's not amazing, but I like a lot of what I'm seeing. Anyway, that being said, let me continue reading this stuff. So yeah, I'm seeing a recurring trend of like we're just reducing plus frames, toning things down, which is very, very good in my opinion. I've seen already as well that they've made it easier to step her in some of these ridiculous situations. I still don't agree with the idea of plus on block homing moves. I feel like generally speaking, like homing moves should never be plus. Maybe, you know, I just feel like homing moves should never be plus. Like I don't know. But that's just me. That's just me. You know, this is my opinion. Kazuya just gets the wall stagger change, and then we have King. So they adjusted his new move, his 3-2-2. So the second hit is no longer a natural combo. Great. The hitbox of the third hit has been reduced, making it harder to connect against opponents in a down state. Does that mean he won't be able to use this as a wall combo anymore? Because I feel like that was a great... Well, again, characters are supposed to have weaknesses. King had no wall combos, so I don't know if this means that he can't do that anymore, but definitely a nerf. He doesn't just get to control neutral Oki and land and sea with this move anymore. Reduce the tracking ability of the third hit. Thank God. And reduce the hitbox of the third hit, making it hard to connect against opponents in a down state. He just maybe shouldn't be able to Jaguar sprint from this, man, especially at the wall. I think him being able to use it as a wall combo but not getting the Jaguar sprint would be like okay, but it's just, oh man, you know. King is a character like I this character is so top tier that it like bewilders me that we don't see more of him, to be honest. But yeah, really just fix this here. And then we have Lars. This character is nuts this season. Nerf his dynamic entry 2, 19 to 17, whatever. Damage change from 22 to 19. Okay. So his down back 2-3 hold in accordance with no more wall stagger. Okay. Change the opponent's behavior on hit and adjust the frame advantage from plus 26 to plus 4. This is absolutely insane that it was ever this plus in the first place. Ludicrous. And I ain't talking about the rapper from Atlanta, but I'm about to throw some bows because this was but yo, like son, imagine getting a move nerfed by 22 frames of advantage and it's still plus. What game even were we playing? Like this isn't Tekken. The thing is, right, if we were playing an anime game, it wouldn't be so crazy. This is Tekken. Why was he ever plus 26? Anyway, and then he gets some bug fixes. I'm not gonna lie, Lars looking like top 5 in the game right now. And I don't think these changes make him not top 5 right now. Law gets the wall stagger change. Lee fixed an issue where heat dash can be triggered on whiff under certain conditions, so another change for him. I've seen Lee mains constantly crying about how terrible their character is. Lee might be the most downplayed character in the entire game. Even if he is like bottom tier, like they make it seem like he's completely and utterly unplayable, like he's just the worst character in the history of Tekken. Then we have Leo, who the changes Leo got I was not a fan of. You know, removing the ability to sidestep and everything like that. But Reina adjusted an issue where in specific situations such as near walls, moves would often whiff mid animation, so her heat 3-4-4, sure, and during heat her down to 1+2, so the new move that she got. Fixed an issue where incorrect damage scaling on airborne hits was causing higher than intended combo damage. I wasn't aware that was even a thing, but they fixed that. Shaheen, heat dash triggered on whiff, yes. Change opponent's behavior to make them stand up facing forward, so similar to the Huarong change with his new move. Xiao Yu, in accordance, wall stagger. Yoshimitsu, wall stagger, and then Zafina, change opponent's behavior, so the same thing as Shaheen and Huarong. And that is all the changes. Okay, like I said, if you wanted a much more detailed, in-depth look at this stuff or like conversation about it, I highly recommend checking out FeedX's content. I mean, if you're watching me, you probably already know who FeedX is and already watch his videos because he's one of the bigger Tekken creators out there and he makes incredible content that I highly recommend. Anyway, enough glaze for him. That's pretty much my thoughts and my opinions on everything so far with this update. I will be jumping back into the game, trying things out for myself and seeing how I feel. Because like I said, the past 2 weeks, I have not touched the game. I have not played it. I have not gone online. And I'm going to try it out now for myself and see how I feel. And so if you see some videos of me playing ranked now or, you know, streaming the game, you know, hopefully it goes well. And if you've been wondering where the gameplay has been, that is why. Like I said, I just quietly decided I wasn't going to play until we got another update, and we've gotten one, and we'll see if it's enough to make me want to continue to play the game. And you know, I look forward to the next update in May. With that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content that I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. And remember, nothing can happen to you, swing the bat. Later.